Here's the myth. The Monkees got Donnie Kirshner fired. Yes, the four of them had so much power. But to understand why Kirshner got fired, you first have to understand why Michael Nesmith slammed his fist through the wall of the Beverly Hills Hotel. As explored in myth number 2, Michael signed the contract believing he'd produce the band. But after the pilot was sold, creative control was ripped from him and handed to Donnie Kirshner, and studio musicians would record the music, not the Monkees. However, it might have been by this point that Nesmith realized. So he might have been okay with this allotted 2 cuts per album until this. Michael, furious. The liner notes made it look like they played on the album. A deliberate deception? He insisted it was never to happen again. But matters only got worse. True, Donnie had given Michael permission. What he and Peter fervently wanted was about to materialize. Yes, they were going to record as a group. A date was even scheduled. But by some accounts, the day before, they discover, surprise, they have a new album, more of the Monkees. Michael, the angriest. Liner notes all about Donnie and his songwriters. An album, he thought, the worst he'd ever heard. And where were they? They were supposed to be on the next album, for heaven's sake, the reason for the recording date scheduled for the next day. So with Michael, just fed up with Kirshner's game playing. The stage was set with all the Monkees in attendance for the main event. In this corner, weighing in with a string of hit records and an ironclad contract that guarantees him complete creative control, Donnie Kirshner. And in this corner, weighed down by promises not kept, a badly bruised ego, and a growing sense of desperation he's trapped, Michael Nesmith. The 2 men dance around each other like Frazier and Ali. Oh, a left hook from Kirshner. Nesmith counters with a right jab. Kirshner bobs and weaves. Nesmith lands several body blows. Oh, a right cross caught Kirshner by surprise. The referee steps in. No, he sucker punches Nesmith. Nesmith answers with, he slams his fist past the twit's face and into the wall. The wall down for the count. Now, remember that Michael signed on believing he'd be very involved in their musical direction, a fact the other 3 didn't seem to know. So Mickey was shocked. Peter probably thought his bravado was overkill, and Davy, well, he was the last to approve. For Michael, this was personal. But it's not what got Donnie Kirshner fired. Rather, negotiations between the producers and Kirshner led to a deal. Any future release had to be 50-50, meaning the Monkees were guaranteed of at least the B-side of any single. Sound, fair? And so, in good faith, Michael, Peter, and Mickey recorded a virtuoso version of Michael's The Girl I Knew Somewhere for the next single. Unaware that in New York City a few days earlier, Donnie had already shipped the masters for that next single. The only thing Monkee? Davy's 2 lead vocals. And in a possible end run around the Monkees, who, as part of the deal, had to approve any new release, where did he ship those masters to? Canada, where RCA Canada was only too happy to receive the scoop. The single had airplay on Canadian radio. U.S. border stations begged their northern friends for copies. Uh-oh. The Monkees had told the press they'd be on the next single. Embarrassment ensued, and so... What for? Well, this offense of his was not the first, and more than likely the song Nazi never had any intention of ever allowing the Monkees a cut on any record ever. But whatever Kirshner's reason for breaking the gentleman's agreement, suits in boardrooms, not the Monkees, made sure this stunt of his was the last he'd ever pull. The only person who got Donnie Kirshner fired was Donnie Kirshner. All he needed to do was compromise. So let's consider this myth busted. But here's the irony. If Michael's music had originally, as planned, been the sound of the Monkees, but because Papa Nez said enough, we have all these wonderful recordings and idiosyncratic music recorded under their creative control. We get to celebrate one of the greatest stories in rock and roll history. The Monkees are famous because they took control, not in spite of it. And so all these years later, what do the fans say? Yes. Thank you, boys.